One realizes very quickly we've been seeing this technology for decades. I had access to all those programs. Windows, no real wings or control surfaces, no obvious signs of propulsion, and yet this object is witnessed now by 4 separate individuals in 2 separate aircraft.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Disclosure Team Show, the podcast, the YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. I'm so happy to be here. I've been indulging in the Christmas festivities with my family this week. This is my final interview before Christmas Day. So it couldn't be any better. I'm going to be here with one of my good friends, Mr. Ashley Cowie. We're going to be discussing phenomenology, kind of touching upon a little bit of what we did earlier in the year for season 1, but really we're going to be digging into season 2 and what we're going to be looking into come April 2023. The trip is booked. It's going to be super exciting. It's going to be another adventure. And yeah, so I think I've got everything ready. I'm having a drink. It is Christmas after all. Happy Christmas to everybody here in the live chat. It's so good to see you guys. And yeah, as always, for anybody here, just keep the chat cool, calm, and collected, and be respectful of any differences of opinion and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is going to be a really awesome conversation. We got a few things to announce, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Your questions, as always, please pop them in capital letters. I will see them better that way, but let's not waste any more time. Welcome back to the show, the boss, the boss, the big man, Mr. Phenomenology himself, my good friend and colleague, Ashley Cowie. There he is.
My goodness, how long did that take? That was painful, Vinny. No, good on you.
It's very different from last year, isn't it? Before we kind of knew what to expect before season 1 and the first time of me being out there. But here we are, a year on. Can you believe it? It's almost a year to the day that we kind of did the first interview, and we were preparing for me and Dan and the rest of the team to all fly out and meet in Colombia. So, wow, it's been a crazy ride, hasn't it? How do you feel, man?
Having come from the imagination for, being here for 4 or 5 years and hearing all about these anomalous lights associated with this hill, La Peña de Huayca, and then bringing it into some sort of visual format that everybody can enjoy, it's satisfying to say the least. And to think now that we've got season 2 coming, that's just righteous.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it was one of the best experiences of my life. Absolutely.
I should say there, for the 3 years prior to us filming last year, we had taken people here and filmed sort of archaeological and exploratory documentaries, private and online. And we had Discovery down here with Josh Gates for Expedition Unknown, filming some of the indigenous tales here, the mythology. But to create this, or not to create, but to be involved with you guys and doing what's essentially a tour of Colombia, but filming it and having a purpose and a point is just, it's so satisfying on so many levels. Because I'm a bit, you get homesick. I miss the voices, the accents, the dialects, the crack in the UK.
Absolutely.
So there's a long form answer to your question. You asked me if it was a crazy ride, but that's a bit, the truth is it's really, really life changing because there are so many new people in our lives here now. Coming here, it's great.
Yeah, amazing. So I guess before we get into kind of going past season 1, are you content? Are you happy with the way season 1 went and the way that it was received? And I'll caveat that by saying, for anybody watching or listening, this was never about being a money-making scheme. This came out of hours, days, weeks, and months of Ashley's time and everybody else's time to put out something that we felt was on a level with other UFO documentaries and things like that, and maybe even elevating it above that. We didn't want to go down that road of the format that we see all the time. So give me your perspective on that kind of side of things, Ash.
Right, putting my opinion as to what the reception was like to the side, let's talk about the timing. Episode 1 of Phenomenology landed about, was it in July this year? When there was effectively a UFO community meltdown, right? It was called the Great Schism of 22. and I remember it was the final episode where we released the lights that we filmed on the top of the mountain, what they are, let's leave out of this just now. However, we launched that episode, and 2 days later, you guys, UAP Media UK, announced the Calvine photo. So Phenomenology kind of got lost in what you call a UAP gulf. But you've got to remember, as I said when I was on that UFO podcast, Phenomenology is much more than just a UFO documentary. We don't talk about UFOs very much. We're looking for a 400-year-old anomalous light phenomenon that's been reported in the mountain for at least 400 years. Today, while that light phenomenon is reported as UFOs, we're not out there looking for things like UFOs as such. We're looking for answers from both the indigenous cultures here, the Spanish incomers, their mythologies and interpretations of the lights, right the way up to the last 60 years where they've been talked of as UFOs and now UAP. So it's much broader than a UFO show. So it was received in all sorts of different portals really, really well. And there's people for the most amount of the audience came from the USA. 60% of the audience came from the USA for season 1. Bizarrely, like 15% came from Norway and Sweden. So I can only imagine that's because it more so aligns with the likes of the Histalun Valley phenomenon than Area 51 or Roswell, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been received great in the best terms. What it's done is it cleared costs, because as you know, we're doing all this on a shoestring, which we'll be talking about at the end of the presentation, how much this all costs.
Sure.
And to have some money coming back from the sales on Vimeo and getting support, it's just great, you know, to actually have a sale and then to have 10 and then to have 100 and more. It's, you know, it's really difficult to do that. There's a lot of competition, a lot of junk out there selling really cheap. And we're asking $19.99 for what's essentially now 8 episodes. You know, it works out like $1.99 an episode for a half hour about on average of media. But, you know, we don't have a big marketing budget. This is a grassroots documentary. It's funded by the people that come here. And as they say, they get their 10-day thing in Colombia. They get to see the back end of the country that they won't get to see on the tour bus. And it's half the cost. And it's just great because you know what it's like. There's a bunch of coolsters and we all just hang about doing stupid shit. And it's great, isn't it? It's not like
yeah, I mean, I struggle to put words into how incredible it was, because it was, you know, it's like you said, you know, it's half the cost of what you would pay to go out to Colombia for that period of time if you were as a tourist. Seeing that, you know, if you were to book a backcountry Colombia tour, all expenses, you'd be paying $5,000 plus. And we got to see the real Colombia. But
you'd pay $5,000 for where we stayed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were so lucky with the accommodation. We lived in a mansion, for God's sake. And yes, it was old, but that was part of the culture and part of the area. We were in rural Colombia, and yeah.
Well,
I mean,
what that was, Vinny, was a 130-year-old post-colonial, traditionally built bamboo finca, a farm, a Spanish farm, or not actually Spanish. It was only built 130 years ago. So I'm saying it's in the colonial style. Now, that room, we had like 6 or 7 bedrooms, and they were huge. And we had 3 or 4 living areas. And because, you know, we want to be focusing on filming and having fun, we have people cooking, doing all the cleaning, doing all the organizing. But you said it, you have to be prepared for being absolutely buggered at the end of the day and having no shower or a cold shower, but the soup will be great, right?
Yeah.
It's got extremes. We do live 9,000 feet on the top of a mountain, right? A very cold one, the Andes. It's in constant motion. So the services, the plumbing, the electricity, the gas, it's out every second week. On average, we'd lose internet probably 2 or 3 times a week. Everything's in motion with wet seasons and dry seasons. You know, the terrain can swell 10 meters of a difference in the course of 2 or 3 months. We're going to come back to that. I think that's quite important, what I was just talking about there.
Absolutely, man. And I suppose, listen, for anybody that may be hearing this for the first time, whether it be here on YouTube or on the Anomalous Podcast Network audio only, could you give us like a 2 or 3 minute breakdown of what the phenomena in the area of Tenho and Tabio that we investigated? Just give us that small kind of soundbite of what it is, if you don't mind.
Of course. So I've got to start this safe with the term local traditions maintain. It's like the start of an episode of Ancient Aliens, right? But local traditions maintain, and this is thorough. And one can Google this as I'm talking about it, the terms and the places. In 1606 or 1608, the first bishop of the village of Tabio baptized the hill La Peña de Huayca as El Cerro de las Luces Danzantes, the hill of dancing lights. Prior to the Spanish arriving, the Muiscas, the indigenous culture of the Cundinamarca area of Colombia, they called the hill La Puerta de los Dioses, the door of the gods. And the reason it was called the hill of dancing lights and prior to that the door of the gods is because people have reported seeing light phenomenon in the air surrounding the top of the mountain, and also on the hill line between Tabio and the hilltop. Tabio, of course, being built around geothermal pozos, they call them, or wells. I mean, there's the Zipa, or the rulers' thermal baths are in Tabio. So there's a mountain here, which for at least the last 400 or 800 years has been associated with dancing lights. So as far as the actual phenomenon is concerned, the oldest known record of it, they were called Las Ranchitas Luminadas, which is the glowing houses, because they're reported in the shape of a hut, the glowing huts. They've been called the Mohan and the Mohana, representing male and female energies or mythological spirits, a sort of intermediate stage between the Muisca's death and its return as an animal form, the Mohan. The pink lights are the Mohana, the blue lights are called the Mohan. So, in a nutshell, the phenomenon, there is no such thing as the phenomenon. It is these phenomena represent, a bunch of different kind of light or plasma. Eyewitness accounts ranging from classic oval-shaped golden balls to Sprite-like blue and pink lights that interact in the air, swirl around each other, and then disappear into the mountain. That's quite a big tradition here. And of course, all of these light phenomenon and the areas on the mountain associated where the Mohan and the Mohana unite are also associated with guacas. Now, guacas are indigenous burials where the Zipas and the Kazakis of the indigenous cultures were buried with their gold, silver, and copper. Now, there are guaqueros who look for these graves, and they claim to follow the lights. And where they see the lights, they can tell if it's blue, it's copper. If it's a yellow-orangey light, it's gold. And if it's more of a white-greeny light, it's going to be silver. And, these guaqueros ship hundreds of tons of artifacts a year from Colombia to the illegal black market around the world. Now, what's cool, let's go skeptic for a second here. The skeptic would say it's a load of balls, right? These guys, these guaqueros, are not seeing lights. What they do is they have an intrinsic inherited knowledge of the farms and of the tierra, the soil. So when they scan along a farm at night with their torches, they can see dark and lighter soils, and they know where it's being turned, therefore where someone might have been buried. And what they do is they maintain this tradition of, we follow the lights. Keeps the check coming, right? It's a really, it's a thing. So do the guaqueros follow lights or not? And this mountain is associated with guaqueros who go up there and they use explosives and they look for indigenous burials. So the phenomenon or the phenomena of the Colombia of La Peña de Huayca since the arrival of the Spaniards has been interpreted as the souls of saints. Local traditions say the blue represents St. Thomas, red represents St. the Maria. So there's a rich and thorough set of traditions. When I arrived here 7 years ago, I was reading all this, hearing all this, and thinking to myself, what an amazing story to tell. Because what's safe about it is, I'm not saying I see the things flying around in the sky, but everybody around me is. And you know what happens, Vinny, when you suggest to someone it's climatological or meteorological, and it's not a spirit, they look at you oddly and they look around and feel quite sorry for us for not being able to see, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since coming back, well, from witnessing what I witnessed in season 1 to now, I've obviously done numerous podcasts and spoken to numerous people about what I saw. And when I came out there, I was the UFO guy, let's say, and you said yourself that you were quite surprised at how skeptical I was and how cautious I was about judging everything that I saw. And let's just say recently, in the last few days, I was misinterpreted in a way that I believe that the entire phenomena, the UFO phenomena, is prosaic based on things that appear in these mountains. And I think, just because I talk about my investigations into what we did in Colombia, that I think there is a possible prosaic explanation to a still very rare phenomena, maybe an Earth-light phenomena that, I could easily be misinterpreted to think that this is what I believe can, on the whole big picture of UFOs. And I'll state right now that that's not the case. Obviously the phenomena, the phenomenon, and all the things in between are very different no matter where you go. So
I'm not done with that. Can I ask you about that?
Please do, man.
Right. So what then to you is the phenomenon or the phenomena of the Tabio Tenjo Valley? You tell me what you think it might be, having explored it.
Well, I think going into the investigations and spending the 2 weeks the way we did, interviewing so many local indigenous folk, talking about UFOs, talking about spirits and souls of the Muisca tribe who had committed suicide, and this was them entering another realm or whatever it was. I took all of those different things on board, but tried to keep a rational mind at the same time. And after witnessing what I did, and then since I left Colombia back in the end of February of 2022, and here we are almost a year later, doing so much research into similar light phenomena, my direction, I'm not going to say my belief because I don't like the word belief, but my direction is more on that this could probably represent a strange Earth light made up of the magnetic makeup of the two peaks that forms some kind of high intensity energy plasma that is very little is known about it, that it could be really big for science. Forget UFOs and everything. No matter what if this turned out to be prosaic, it's still a huge discovery.
Okay. So no, I think that's great. So then my next question must be, why would you have to feel you have to justify yourself for offering prosaic explanations to UFO? Do you know what's happened here? Let's be clear. I think, in my opinion, 10 years ago, it was a marginal fraction of society that would actually publicly admit they believed in UFOs or visitors from another planet. Because there's been such a swell in the media and in pop culture in the last 5 or 8 years, especially since 2017, 2019, there's a tendency for people to openly confess to believing in such things. However, I don't think the person who demands prosaic or wants to wait on the safe side until that smoking gun of evidence appears is anything but a rationalist. And I think it's required. One shouldn't have to justify skepticism, especially just now when there's such a tilt towards belief. Because let me just say this, oh my goodness, imagine we're not going to open this kind of worms. But how many people wish they'd taken a skeptical side to some of the nonsense that is being unveiled in videos and people appearing in court and stuff from indictments from the UFO community. I think there's never been a more important time for people to be skeptical and to look down and inwards towards these mountains, as you say, as possibly the keepers of, I hate to use the word bizarre climatology, because that just sounds, oh yeah, they're going from spirits, ghosts and ghouls and UFOs to bizarre climatology. However, I like to do this because I think it takes the whole thing down to earth and leaves a big space for things we don't know.
Yep.
Right. Let's say Project Blue Book in its conclusion was correct, all right? And it's swamp gas. Let's just assume for a moment a lot of it's swamp gas. Right. So the Bogota Savannah that we're on right here was a swamp for at least 30,000 years since Lake Humboldt receded and the Spaniards arrived. So, wow, we might have a chance of photographing swamp gas or filming swamp gas phenomenon. Wouldn't that be incredible, since it's not been done before? Now, the other thing that I think is wonderful here is Hessdalen Valley in Norway, there was a hypothesis submitted about 2014 called the battery hypothesis, where imagine two mountain ranges with the valley in the middle. One is zinc, one is iron, one is negative, one is positive. So the claim that was postulated was, under certain climatological conditions, generally dry, when the ions are warmer in the air and have a tendency to show as light, that there is some kind of conflict or some kind of plasma formation appears between these two mountains. However, the skeptical argument is a scientist called Bruin, who 2016 said, this would all add up, but what you don't have is a catalyst in the middle. You would need a river, and that river would need to have the potential to charge ions in the air, warm ions. So it got thrown out. Guess what, Vinny? The thermals in Tabio are sulfur pools, and we have the El Chico sulfur river running down the valley between El Mojoy and Huayca. We have that missing geological component that would validate the Hessdalen Valley being a battery. So what if this is a version of one of these geological batteries as such, where perhaps what would normally be interpreted as lightning manifests in a different kind of way, perhaps low in the atmosphere or even really high in the atmosphere, or perhaps it's some form of pressure-caused electricity, when there's the change of the seasons. We're going to have to start what we're doing here, because I think the change of the seasons is key to a lot of this. And what happens is, twice in the year, it changes from extremely dry to extremely wet. And in the course of 10 or 15 days, all of the underground, we're in the Andes, so all of the underground rivers and chambers and ravines within mountains, they all fill up with water, creating an intense pressure in the environment. Now, 90 miles west, we have the River Magdalena, the largest in Colombia, and it runs over a quartzine riverbed. And it's been postulated that perhaps highly charged magnetic clouds in the west are getting blown over and colliding with this change of season here, 90 kilometers to the east. The climate can change in 15 miles here, depending on altitude. So this happens twice a year. So if this idea is right, that the change of the seasons, the change in the climatological circumstances causes the light phenomenon, I should be able to make predictions. And that's exactly what we did last year and what we're doing this year, because all of the traditional mythology says that the light phenomenon appears on Holy Week, especially on Holy Friday. We're now backing into what we're filming.
Yeah, but let me just cut you into there before we go into that, because that'll then bring us into what we're doing for season 2. Let's stick with season 1 and kind of. I think the good thing for anybody that's interested that hasn't seen season 1 is to, instead of hearing it from you now, is to go and watch it. Watch it, and we'll get into other things in a second. But what I'd quite like to do, and if it's okay with you, is just play a minute or two clip from season 1, not episode 1. So actually give a little bit of exclusive footage that if you purchase the season, this is the kind of what you might see. So am I right just playing a couple of minutes just to kind of give them a little
Let me ask you, which media source are you playing this on live?
I'm playing this through Vimeo.
And it's the today, is it on Vimeo live as we're looking, or did you download this?
No, this is my copy of the full season. This is a little couple of minute clip from episode 7, the final episode.
And when did you download this?
Well, I've had this, haven't I, since?
Oh, so it's a terrible early version. I'd rather
I've just logged into Vimeo.
Oh, good, great. Play away.
So
play away on Vimeo. Let me shut up. I'm paranoid because if I tell you to go and play it and it's on one of the platforms where you shouldn't be playing it, I would be like, oh dear. But
this is the latest. Yeah, we'll discuss afterwards what you meant by that. But I've literally, if you've just seen for a minute ago, I was listening to what you were saying, but I was just plugging away here because I wanted to, and I've clicked in a kind of random spot to give people a little bit of a. I'm not lined up any specific wow moment, but this is like a little teaser of 2 minutes of the final episode, which gives a little bit of in fact, let's just watch it. So let me just bring this up. Here we go.
You really do like to announce stuff, don't you?
I have a way of doing things, man. And yeah, I feel like an old stick in the mud, but let's make sure, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this.
What they are. Everything is light. And this is just one particular manifestation of it that we don't seem to understand.
We've realized that there are different magnetic charges across the valley as well. So it could just be some kind of strong surge of energy or something that attracts this phenomenon. People talk about portals created by an intelligence. You have to keep all possibilities open until you have data that can say, no, it's not that, because we've worked that out. Look at this. There it is.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that. Oh my
gosh. And what do you think is that?
I have no idea. Look, it's glowing. We need to find it.
There.
Yeah, this is maybe the worst.
Where we go? We can record with mag. It's a focus magnification tool, Vinny, which allows us to see. Oh, there's 2 lights. No way. Look at that. Look at that. 2 lights, guys. There we go. The evolution of the phenomenon from 1 to 2. Look, it's coming off the side.
Wow.
What is that? Oh, Matty, closer. Oh, my Lord, Vinny. We've just seen movement. What happened? What the fuck was that? Hey, now. Oh. Just good. Oh, right on the top. That's on the top of Waker, that one. You can't have a small light coming out of a large light like that and call it a flashlight. How's that even possible? And you could say, it's 2 flashlights standing together and one guy's moving away from the other, but it circled the light.
Waika. Look there.
On the right-hand side.
Oh, on the top. Look at the top again. Just look on the mirror door again. I've got it on the camera.
Wait,
okay. Yeah, there's one right up.
Look at that. So like, nobody knows if they haven't seen it, and they've got to get to episode 7 to see that. But let me just boom this. Everybody left 2 days after the filming trip was done officially. Everybody left my house. Essentially, everyone was crashing here on the last night before the airport.
Yeah,
a few of them
was
were
finished.
It was done, and then Walter left to Bogota at 2 p.m. Dan left at 6:30 p.m. and at 7:15 we were on our own. That just what's there. It was like 1, then 2, and then what appeared to be a triangle, then 3 or 4 in a wispy sort of shape, and then pulses of a red light. Is that it? And what we saw kind of summarized?
Yeah, and I think the most important thing that we need to reiterate to people is that for anybody watching on YouTube now or later, you can see behind me and Ash right now is a mountain, and that's the mountain that these lights appeared on. And right between me and Ash is a flat face that is like a few 100-foot flat face that is inaccessible to humans at all. You cannot get to it, and this is where the light was appearing and doing what it was doing. And so, you know, it was huge. The light, I think we estimated that the diameter of the light was 20 to 30 feet, and it was a huge luminous light doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and I think we should quickly say this, though, that the purpose for the beginning of season 2, on day 1, when everyone gets here, we're up Waika the next night because we want to go up with a range of hikers' head torches, mag lights. We want to take lanterns, and we will film us up there so we can then compare what people look like with lanterns and head torches compared to what our film was that we got last year.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. We've done quite a lot of work already post filming of season 1. But what we need to do is show that work in the beginning of season 2. You know, it's all good saying that we've done it, but we need to show it to the viewers and things like that.
Yeah. And also because the skeptical argument to this is that it's a group of, say, let's say 4 or 6 people, even though we know the police don't let anybody up, it's closed, and if you were hiking, you certainly wouldn't use torches. There's all these anecdotal arguments. However, we're going to go and put 4 or 6 thermal trail cams up and around the top of the mountain on day 1, so we can film it over Holy Week, film it over Holy Friday. But we should probably, that's a great place, back to this Holy Friday is a great place for us to maybe start talking about what we're doing. I'm in no hurry, by the way. I just keep coming back to Holy Friday and wishing I could talk more about that.
Well, then, no, maybe is it a good time to sort of talk about why we wanted to continue the investigation? Because I'm going to bring it back a little bit and start from here. The reason why you contacted me in the first place to even put together season 1 is because you were lucky enough to take a few photographs of this light phenomena, and you wanted to investigate it fully with a team, which we did, and we managed to film it. So where do we go from there? We want to pinpoint what it is.
Right. Okay. Let's start there. So yeah, before you guys came for a year, I 220 or 221, I photographed 19, because we have a house, you know, and it's right on the base of the mountain. It's right there in front of us. So I have a tripod, my 5D 400mm lens, and every night I'm on the balcony, and every 15 minutes or 20 minutes I check for 5 or 10 minutes. And on 19 evenings in 1 year, I saw lights on the mountain and photographed them. Some are blurred, some are out of focus, some are exceptionally sharp, some are great, some are really mysterious, some are quite clearly hikers. Why? Because I know the path that goes up, that you know yourself.
Exactly. That's important.
There's one. And on either side of that path, there is nothing. You know, it's vertical, as you know. So I can turn to my wife and say, look, there's a light just down from the right of the summit. And then I can say to her, I think in between 7 and 10 minutes, it's going to appear, and it's going to be just beside the Montanita, because that's where you turn from the top and face the valley and come down, and boom, you can see hikers' torches. But I've never, ever seen what we saw for such a prolonged period in one place. And then also what we show is it appears to be moving in different parts of the Mirador. However, Vinny, I've got to get right on this. Like, I don't know. I'm only saying I don't know because I'm trying to fit in with ufology. The truth is, I don't think that I don't think we can even start to conclude that we filmed the light phenomenon of the Tenjo Tabio Valley until we have what we're going to have in season 2 is a thermal drone with thermal cameras above that mountain the second the lights appear. Because as Walter says, this season he's betting his bottom dollar that we are going to see like a cop documentary where we're going to fly over that mountain and there's going to be 4 yellow guys, maybe with fireworks or whatever else. However, Vinny, here's the thing. What then is to be said for the accounts from the Door of the Gods 400 years ago and earlier?
Yeah. I know where you're going with that. And what I will say is that we know, like you said a couple of minutes ago about the pathways up the mountain, that we have to take into account where you can physically go as a person on that mountain face. There are places on that, even the path that we know, or the pathways that we know, or you know, they're treacherous enough as it is.
Mhm.
So add into that the fact that the mountain is closed to the public. There is a 300 or 400 foot flat face where the only way you could get on that flat face is to abseil, which even in the daytime would be pretty much unheard of. Imagine doing that in the nighttime. No way. And then the light source that we filmed, even the light before it shone out would have been a diameter of 20 feet, so you're talking about someone up there with a light source.
No, I've got to say this,
strapped to their
Vinny.
back.
I can't let you say that and know what I know and not tell you this. So we did an experiment in the garden. Just about a month ago, we woke up one morning and you couldn't see a thing. It was absolutely piece of fog. So I had my head torch. I have a hat with two little lights here, like an electrician's hat. And I said to Natty, put this on, and when you're going out with Chia, turn around and face me. So she went to the gate about half a kilometre down the drive there. And she turned around and faced me, Vinny. So I filmed it. And I knew she had two little, like, Christmas tree lights on this hat. If I had filmed it, those would have looked about 30 feet in diameter, those two small lights. So what I'm proposing to you is, while they look to us to be 25 foot wide, as you say, that might happen because it's 3 kilometers. So in a misty night, that a light could be amplified to look bigger in the valley than it actually is. But again, what then of this whole this whole thing that you saw, every street sign, every corner shop, every wall has UFO arts, phenomenology artwork. It has, last year, 2021, Maria Alvarez report just came forward, a 62-year-old retired captain from the Colombian Air Force. She went to El Tiempo newspaper and said, "We're in my farmhouse in Tenjo at the bottom of Peña de Huaycan. Her and her 13 farmhands lay in the grass and watched an oval-shaped light circling Huayca for 21 minutes."
And she described it as a tic-tac.
Yeah, I know. No, let's be accurate. She called it un tobacco, a cigar. Which to all intents and purposes is the same design. However, they called it a tobacco, a cigar. And she said it stopped above her farmhouse. And for all of her 40 years in the Air Force, she'd never seen anything so beautiful, because while it emitted a light, they didn't get lit. And they watched it shooting off or jetting off into outer space, as she said herself. And she said it was just a wonderful experience. And of course, the reporters were all asking her, "You've just taken your entire respected military career as a captain in the Air Force and essentially put it up for questioning." And she said she couldn't live with herself for having seen such a spectacular event around Huayca. So skeptics are all over the thing with this, and there's a TV show here once every month called Más Allá. And they report stuff. They go into all the local phenomenon and the eyewitness accounts from all over Colombia. It's like an unexplained, a really popular online show. But the skeptics in there maintain, again, that this is some kind of climatological phenomenon. But what's really cool about it, Vinny, is this. If the skeptics are right, it's still absolutely brilliant that phenomenology is going to get there first, hopefully. If it's climatology, right? Let's find that out. Let's see what's going on. If it is, it could be the passing of mythology. It could be the archetypes of mythology sprouting up because, the door of the gods, the highest part of the valley, which is closest to the sky, it starts as the door of the gods. So if there's a climatological phenomenon up there that's known as the Mohan or the Mohana, and then it gets passed down and reinterpreted by the Spanish as the saints, the souls of saints, then it's reinterpreted in modern day times as UFOs. So we've come from spirits to UFOs. If this is a case of 400 years of religious thinking and pop culture leading to a bunch of wrong interpretations for climatology, I'd love to be on the front end of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to be on the front end of that. And it's not seeking to be a skeptic or seeking for answers that it's UFOs. It's nothing to do with that. It's more than that. What it is, I mean, you saw these people. You have to be gentle with them because all of the locals are 100% absolute believers. Remember the guy that was doing the gardens and did the security last time? And I said to this local gardener, have you ever seen the lights in Waika? He said, which ones? And I was like, okay, las luces danzantes. And he said, the spirits or the ovnis, the UFOs. And I went, tell me about both. And he said, well, he goes, the spirits linger around the top and they're blue and pink. But he said the UFOs are white and they go really fast from the mountain into the sky. And you're like, I asked you if you'd ever seen the lights. And now you're giving me two really well threaded, rich cultural traditions from the Tenho and Tabio Valley.
Amazing.
One, the spirits of the, as you say, it's the Moisca people here from the Sisquilla Reserve who protect La Peña de Huayca. They say that when Jimenez Quesada arrived in 1537, that
this is the guy that the conquistadors.
Jimenez Quesada was the man the conquistador or the conquistor of Colombia, where Cortez was in Mexico and Francisco Pizarro and his brothers were in Peru. He arrived in 1537 and raised the place to the ground with flames and horrid animals.
And this is where this phenomena dates back to. And I have to keep reiterating that because, you know,
he chased 400 of the last Kazakis, the local rulers, and they ran to the highest point in their environment, 14 miles from Bogota, and there 400 of them leaped to their death. This is what the mythology says. But I've got to tell you something interesting, Vinny. If you go to the Brown Mountain Light phenomenon in the Appalachians, there exists also indigenous mythology about suicidal Native American Indians and their lingering lights. So it doesn't just exist here, these mythologies, but that makes it even more interesting because where you see or where people report to see anomalous lights, well, look at that. These are the way they're interpreted by the indigenous people. And you know what it's like. These guys love working with us, the indigenous community here. They had us working for them in season 1.
Man,
we built
incredible.
a well.
Incredible. But listen, I think this is a good segue to kind of, for anybody that's interested in season 1, it has been on Vimeo, you know, since July, but we have now, as of today, about half an hour ago, we're now offering it with a discount. So if anybody is still not seen it but is interested, you can go to the description below. You can find it with a discount code, a 25% discount code, and go and check out season 1. Episode 1 has also just been released on YouTube for the first time on the Phenomenology YouTube channel. So please go and check that out and go and subscribe to the channel. But one thing I'm going to do right now, which I don't do that often, is I'm just going to spend 2 minutes going through the live chat right here, just to give everyone a shout out, because it is the Christmas holidays and you're all spending time to be here. So
can I tell you something, remind you, just in case you've forgotten, I've got this presentation thing here.
Yeah, dude, we're going to go through it all. There's no time limit on this.
No, I just wondered if you had completely forgotten about it and you're trying to buffer for time.
No, not at all. No.
Okay, cool. Go on with your job and let me get that out of here.
Oh, Ash, you know, I love you so much, brother. This is the thing. Oh, man. And before I do this, thank you to everyone being here. Ash, like, we got to know each other so well when we were out there that we've spent so much time since. We've been out to Scotland together since. We've done so much together. We speak all the time.
Friends.
We form this, like, you know, it's not just you and me. It's me, you, Dan, Walter. The whole team are still very much in contact.
It's because we don't mind telling each other to shut up. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about it. But listen, I want to give a shout out to you guys. So I'm going to go from this list here. My very good friend Lara, Paranormal Pixie, thank you for being here. Josh the Lister, Yearning, love you to bits. Andre, always here. Anybody that you know, I don't shout out. I'm just going through a small list. But Kurt M, thank you for being here. My list has stopped scrolling. What's going on? Lickety X Splits or Lickety Splits. You mentioned in a comment that you'd only just come here because you found us on Chris Leto's channel this week, thank you so much. And this is what everybody that's new is so welcome here. Thank you so much for being here. Jay Allen, you're always here asking great questions in my interviews. Fusey Electron or Fuse Electron, however you say it. Thank you so much for being here. I don't want to miss anybody out. George Hernandez, good to see you. Jason Fay, my brother, love you to bits, man. George Hernandez, thank you so much for being here. Guys, I just want to shout out you guys because I know when I do these interviews that it's like starts, interview, finishes, and I don't give you guys maybe enough kind of shout outs or positivity or I don't say thank you enough. But it's Christmas and I just wanted to say that I've been doing this for a year and a half now, and you guys are the reason why I'm still doing this. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And to everybody that listens after the fact, you guys are just as important. And anyone on the Anomalous podcast, you guys rock too. Gonna give one more shout out. Beardy Weirdy, thank you so much. Mr. Strafe Wilson is here. Strafe Wilson was with me and Ash in Scotland earlier in the year. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. And I see a Mr. Walter Payne in the chat.
Is he there? Is he?
Walter's in the chat. Walter was with us in this endeavor.
Walter represents the team's hard-nosed skeptic, and he's having none of it. Walter needs to,
look,
Walter
Alien Alien Girl 111, thank you for being here. Avil Stretch Bachelor, thank you so much for being here. Stretch says he found us from Chris's channel. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. It really means a lot. I think this is a good segue now to jump into.
See, before we do this, because you mentioned him 2 or 3 times, can I quickly tell you my Chris Leto story?
Oh, dude.
Let me tell you this. So a year ago, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? And I put on YouTube and I saw this thing going on.
By the way, as well.
My
other brother.
I'm sure he is. I have no interest in what relationship you have together because I'm going to tell you this story impartial as to how it was. I woke up and he had said something, and I never ever engage at all in social media debate. I sometimes feel like it, but I just, by rule, don't. But I broke my rule this day and I hammered in. And I was having a right old go at Chris in the most immature, embarrassing, worst version of myself. And there I was. And do you know something happened? I was kind of holding it together, being mannerly when I was, when you're telling someone you think they're an arse, but you tell them, look, in my opinion, and then in the utmost respect, you're a twat. It was like that. And I didn't get a chance because essentially a pack of werewolf-like Chris Leto fans saw me off. I was like a wolf around the sheep. They saw me off, and I woke up the next day, and for the next 3 months, I was watching stuff that Chris Leto did. Now, listen to this. Do you know what I've got now? Look, I even have that written down. Look, my Chris Leto story. Because I felt so guilty in realizing he's actually a really nice person. Whether you agree, disagree, whether you're indifferent, he's a consistent fellow, and there's not many out there. And I just felt awful. So, Chris, shout outs. Sorry about being a twat.
Well, this is the thing. Like, myself and Dan are ambassadors for UAP Society. I'm very good friends with Chris, just like I'm very good friends with you, And Chris is nothing but 100% supportive of the work that we've done in Colombia and the work that we've got coming up. So
that makes it worse.
I think what you need to realize is that it was. I didn't see the conversation, but I'm sure you weren't a complete dick. I mean, I know you well enough.
No, there's a high chance it was, because I have no guilt. Of course, I have guilt. But this is one of the ones that every time you maybe see something or he's doing a new thing on Instagram and you see it, you go, you get that draw, that wee anxious thing, and a bunch of them builds up to a nervous disorder. But I get that draw breath when I think about being next. I was probably a dick that day. You're just trying to soften it and make friends.
It's all good. I am trying to soften it, and it's all
I'm just trying to be a realist with the utmost respect to the truth, and me being a dick that day rather than anything about Chris himself. That's what I thought I'd tell you.
Absolutely, and that's fine, and that's a cool story.
So I didn't realize that you knew each other. I've never seen him on your show. I must look back.
Chris, Chris has been a guest a couple of times on my show. I've been on his show a couple of times, but it's an honor to be invited by him earlier in the year to be a part of UAP Society, to be an ambassador for his group, and Dan as well. And it's great. But one thing that I think that I'll finish with this part of the conversation is that that's the beauty of the UFO subjects, is that we can have differences of opinion. And even though you might consider the fact that you acted like a dick, as you say, I'm sure it was just passionate differences of opinion. I'm sure you're not a troll. I know that.
Can
much.
you just let it be that I was a dick and stop trying to soften it?
You dick.
I'm not like that all the time. It was an instant, let's not judge me on the exception. Let's stick to the rule,
You see, everyone that's listening and watching, even the boss, the big man of phenomenology, is human. He's human as well.
The big man of phenomenology who represents less than 1%, at least maximum of season 1. I deliberately just I filmed it and enjoyed watching all of you do dangerous things, and I was in it. I popped in a few times, but I'm going to join the team. We have other people filming it this season too, so I'm going to be definitely in there with you in all of the places we go and all the things that we're trying to do. There were so many times when we were interviewing people, and maybe at the top of Mahoy or at the top of Waika, we were in dangerous places doing cool things. I felt really, really down that I had a 35 pound of camera equipment on my back, and my old knees were breaking, and I wasn't really able to. But this year, I'm going to be springing like a deer with y'all up those mountains.
I say, do you know what? I guess one huge piece of respect that I have to throw your way is that there were certain things captured on camera of me, because I like my wine.
Oh yeah. Vinny has a.
Go on.
No, I'm going to say it. We've in the last year we've filmed more than once and on different projects, and on each occasion, Vinny starts. There's always a day where he goes, "I'm not going to get pissed tonight. I'm just going to have a bottle of wine." And you're like, he's going to get really pissed tonight and have 3 bottles of wine. And he never lets us down. But there's this funny thing that happens with Vinny, because he's not one of those aggressive drunks. It's like the big teddy bear drunk. So what happens is I forget he's pissing it up. After 2 wines, he's like, "You've never met anyone like him. He's like the father you always wish you had, right?" And then you're like, "Oh my God, I wish I was this kind of lit." And then you see him after 4, and you're on the couch arguing with someone about all this. Remember the UFO argument with Gordo that you had last time we filmed?
Dude, I love it, man.
To me, it was great. This guy represents.
This is the thing. I put after a full day's work or a full day's hiking up a mountain, and we're a couple of glasses of I was going to say Colombian wine, but it isn't, because you don't get Colombian wine because it's all Chilean and stuff like that.
You get shot here because of the altitude, right? So you've got 30% less pulmonary metabolism. So a beer or 2 beers. But what happens too is, as you know full well, is the hangovers are unlivable, unbearable. You can't do the hangovers. You need to spend almost a whole day in bed, don't you, Vinny?
You do. I had a moment, but listen, let's.
Sometimes you might have to stay in bed so long that we have to get a taxi to the railway station with your jacket and bag that you might just forget.
Yeah, but that's Scotland. That's a whole different ball game. Scotland, indeed. Colombia.
Indeed.
Let's move on to post season 1. We spent the last few months. Season 1 came out on weekly episodical releases. Mm-hmm. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I love the way you did it. I love the way that me and Dan and the rest of the team didn't know what to expect. I think that was really awesome. Ash spent months and months of his life, hours and hours, days, weeks, months, busting his butt to get this season edited and out. This is all his work, and in my opinion, it was top notch.
No, it's only now it is, Vinny, because there was a balls up in the process of transferring from the editors to the different platforms, Vimeo, then the different ones. So I would say it's only now that I can agree with you there in its entirety, what we have, because it's beautiful. It looks the business now, and it shows the entirety of what we did off just perfect. And Did you see we got a really negative comment today?
No, I didn't. I don't read comments most of the time.
Nor
But
do
let's
I.
not dwell on one thing
I
I
need to tell you what
Oh,
this is.
God, really?
It's no, it's not a bad one. It's a negative intro with a positive extra. The person watched episode 4 on Vimeo on demand,
Okay.
and they said, "You just debunked the blue light phenomenon, but yet you didn't supply drone footage or Google Maps to show where you guys think that transformer was." He goes, that is a shallow way to end, and you had no right to debunk it. And do you know what I thought? You're absolutely right.
Yep.
Just as a side note.
There you go. No, but that's something we will learn from and take forward. This was season 1. This was new to everybody.
100%.
And that's fine. But the one thing I will say is that we could have sold this to a production company and lost all creative control. We could have put this out to a Netflix and I'm not saying we could have put this out.
No, Vinny,
there were conversations had where we could have sold this in early days, all walked away with a nice little tidy bit of money in our pocket and gone, hey. But we didn't because of the passion. So
no, you're saying that as if don't throw that away. For at least a year before this, I was pitching this to producers in Los Angeles, and I got really in thick after 2 or 3 months. And I don't know if you know that world, but there's a layer within production called development producers. And they come in and they are tasked with speaking to people like me who might have ideas for new shows that they can pitch to generally Discovery History or Nat Geo. And I was right in deep with this phenomenon. And guess what happened? Skinwalker Ranch came out, the second or third episode of that, and it started to catch fire. And this is what happened, Vinny. That development producer came back and said, she started saying to me that if we pitched it as if it was Skinwalkers in Colombia, we're good. And I was like, yeah, if we did, I'm sure we're good. But I have to live with this. Come on now. And I could see it. Imagine Vinny and Dan running about with electrometers, rubbing it past their phones and getting them going off. And I just couldn't do it. So we pulled back and I came out of a development contract. And then that's when I emailed you and said, you want to make a documentary, grassroots, and just see how it goes and have fun doing it. And would you come to Colombia? And then you said yes. So then I went and told Mr. D. Zetterstrom and said, well, I've got a buy-in from Vinny. And I said to Dan do you have the balls enough to come to Colombia? Knowing that I had you, I said, Vinny certainly does. And then within 4 days, he did his GoFundMe and he raised almost $2,000 to get him here. So that's how Dan got here. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, what do you want to do now then?
Well, I'm going to make one statement and you don't have to chime in on this, but the only outsourced financial help that was made for this series was to get Dan here. Dan, with Andy from That UFO podcast, put out a post to their followers of That UFO podcast to get Dan out here. They raised $2,000 that paid for Dan's trip and everything. There have been rumors, and I'm only going to literally spend a second touching upon this, but there have been rumors that tens of thousands of dollars were raised and that money was raised to pay towards the production of this production for season 1. That is not the case. All of the money came from Ashley's own pocket. That's it. And we don't even have to go into that. I just wanted to put that out there because conversations have been had on the internet and social media and all that nonsense. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
And one thing I'm going to say, no, but what you're saying is that I'm not allowed to comment on that.
Yeah, but dude, we could just talk about that for hours, and let's not give them the benefit of even highlighting the nonsense, if you know what I mean.
I totally know what you mean, but I totally get you. I'm going to go
on. You got 30 seconds.
All right, good man. So I was down there. I too watched all these things because what you're doing is you're watching UFO channels, thinking, oh, maybe I should send that guy a discount code because if he watched the documentary, or maybe I'll give him the first 3 episodes. And all these people that I had listened to for the last 2 years and loved, all the different podcasters, the quirky ones, the straight ones, And all of a sudden, a few of them started talking about phenomenology and started brandishing numbers about it. And I was just, it does. You're looking at it thinking, the reviews are on something that doesn't exist. 16s and £20,000. My good Lord, I wish. I'd love that. My wife and I's plan is we do an archaeological kind of documentary every year, and we fly people here, and we don't tour, but we do adventures with people, 6 and 8 people at a time, twice a year sometimes. And we just decided to do UFOs this year, and my good Lord, apparently one's not allowed to try and make cash in this industry, in this zone. So we hope to make money in the future on sales on Vimeo and the seasons. That means that we break even with you guys coming on the production, which you're going to see the cost of. We're about to tell everybody what it is. We want people to come, but we hope to make a few dollars and selling Vimeo over the future if it keeps going.
Absolutely, man.
But it's
Anyway.
good though, because let's get on. But yeah, there you go.
We were an hour in, and one thing I wanted to say is I wanted to be sneaky and surprise you, and I invited Mr. Walter Payne to join us, but unfortunately he couldn't. So I put that out there. But he has messaged me saying that he is streaming this to his family right now.
Great stuff.
Which is cool.
Do you know what? I bet he's got a brother called Max.
So shout out Walter, Max.
No, Max. That was a reference to Max Payne.
Walter and your family, if you're watching this right now live, shout out to you. We love you, brother. We can't wait to hook up with you again in April 2023 for season 2.
Yeah.
But listen, let's get in to season 2022. Let's jump straight in to what you have planned for us, the team. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get into the expedition itinerary, or I'm
going to share my screen.
We could announce one of our new team members who has been here in this live chat the whole time.
All right. No, what we're going to do is we're going to announce her at the end.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to literally talk you guys through what we have planned for season 2 on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, kind of day-to-day basis, loosely. Now, what are you sharing? You're sharing your screen, you're telling everybody.
Yeah, I've got your website right.
But I want to share my presentation here.
Let's go with yours, dude. Come on, amateur, Vinny, amateur.
Look at you. I thought, we're going to see him getting all the he's going to get all into it.
I just like to be prepared. So you know that I've got 3 monitors in front of me. That's why anybody that notices has seen me going like left, right, and looking over. I have everything set up around me. But dude, let's go for your screen, man.
Do you know what I do from time to time? I look to the right like that, and then I look over to the left, and then people think I've got 3 monitors. I've actually got like a cup of coffee and a plant, That'll be like that.
All good, man. It works, man. Don't break the enigma. So go on, share your screen. I'll see it pop up and I'll bring it up.
Okay, 2 ticks. So if I minimize my StreamYard feed with you. Oh no, I can't do that. You must share my
bring
screen
StreamYard
first.
up, go to the bottom, click present.
Present, share screen. Here we go. All right. I'm going to press that and share.
Here we go.
Can you see my screen?
I can see it like yeah. There we go.
Is this better?
Full screen it. That is absolutely perfect. Look at that.
Really good.
Phenomenology S2. Dude, you didn't even know. I didn't even know you'd done this.
I always do that to you. Every week I like to drop something else that I never told you anything about, like that. The Rendlesham one.
Man, I never stop learning about you, mate.
That was funny. If you don't ask, you don't get to know.
Yeah.
Right, so here we go. So Phenomenology Series 2, S2, team of UAP investigators. And of course, UAP for us stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon, of course.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Has to, doesn't it? I've struggled with this so much because if I'm in my garden at night with a telescope or a tripod with a camera and I see a light against Waika, I can't call that an unidentified aerial phenomenon because I don't know if that's in the air or in the ground or, but this is wonderful, anomalous.
Yep. Let's do it.
Right, so here we go. I thought I'd do this first, a series overview.
Wow.
Right, so on the left, just if I'd put that in for fun, this is the Tenho Tabio UFO monument. It was built 23, 25 years ago, as just as I said, as a monument to the UFOs and UAP and the phenomenological light phenomenon of the Tabio Valley. So that was there. We're going to go film at that for fun. There's going to be three aspects to season 2. We're going to be looking at mythology, phenomenology, and archaeology. Now I get to talk about my Holy Week. Imagine what it does to one's head when so many people locally and so many accounts talk about these luces danzantes or ranchitos luminados, Mohan, Mohana, El Encanto, the charm, the lights could be so many, and they talk about this occurring on Holy Friday. Now, Vinny, the problem with that being Holy Friday is a date appointed on the Gregorian calendar. It's not very new, several centuries old. So why would a light phenomenon occur on a relatively modern Catholic holy day? I don't think it does. What's happening is the Catholic holiday, the Holy Friday, the Holy Week, is overlaying the change of the seasons from dry to wet, the beginning of the first wet winter, if you like. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be interviewing a mythologist, a famous old man. He's in his 80s now. And he was the guy in the 60s who recorded the Cheap Chat or the Moisca mythology that on Holy Friday, 2 rocks at the top of Waika open to reveal the charm, El Encanto, which are the lights. And if you follow the charm on Holy Friday, it'll lead you to buried indigenous treasure. So the mythology is on Holy Friday and Holy Week, the mountain opens, reveals its lights, and they indicate the whereabouts of buried indigenous treasures. So we're going to interview the guy who recorded those myths. 2 of them he recorded, and he got it from Rice's Moiscas. So these are modern day Moiscas with traditional heritage. And we're going to explore that, the mythology of the lights. But we're also going to be hitting the road, and we're going to be going to the planetarium. I don't want to tell you the itinerary just now, but phenomenology as a standalone theme throughout the series will be this. Edmund Husserl, in the late 19th century, founded the philosophical scientific movement of phenomenology. Phenomenology was a response to Cartesian sciences, which defines the universe by objects, how fast they move, and how far away they are. Phenomenology bases its scientific conclusions purely on the experience and the structures of consciousness of an observer. So by interviewing 50 observers to a phenomenon, a phenomenologist would claim to be closer to the truth as to what that phenomenon is than the scientist trying to approach the answers from tables and a Cartesian method. So phenomenology is always looking towards the experience of the person. So we're going to be interviewing geologists, we're going to be interviewing astronomers, but we're going to be interviewing them about their opinions on what these phenomena are, and we're going to get it from their, I call it a logical approach. I'd love to hear, rather than more ufologists that we interviewed last time, I want to hear about people that might bring a different phenomenological interpretation to the thing, whether we're barking up the right tree thinking it's to do with the change of the seasons, or whether, because there's this idea I have that it comes with the change of the season. That brings with it a change in temperature, so it could be something to do with temperatures. It brings about a change in high altitude lightning phenomenon. It brings about changes in the structure within the valley itself. So there could be all sorts of things that we're going to get from, as I say, geologists, climatologists. We've got 2 interviews set up. So moving on from phenomenology, looking at actual what people see in scientific terms, archaeology. One of the principal reasons for everybody coming is I'm going to show you, we're going to be going to some really iconic Colombian archaeological sites, and I'm going to be showing the story. We're going to be telling the story of the Moiscas, of the pre-Columbian rituals that were conducted at Lake Guatavita
Oof.
I know, it's incredible. I'm going to show you a picture of it. But the reason we're going there is because on our kind of the second last day of the expedition, I'm going to be taking everybody to, it's going to be the big one next year for me for a long time. We're going to an archaeological site that a friend of mine initially discovered with an indigenous guide. And I've been working there with him for the last 3 years, and we are going to now announce this to the world. You know, here we go. I'm going to come out with one of these classic cheeky hooks, and you're just going to have to sit in your arses and wait for the data. I'm not going to be putting any evidence out yet. I'm not going to be talking about what it is, but we're going to be filming an undisclosed, hitherto unknown archaeological site with some really, really interesting associations with the phenomenon in the valley with El Cerro Mahui, the opposing mountain to Waika, the home of the male Mohan blue light. So archaeological story being told throughout the whole thing. So it sounds really complicated, but when you see where we're going, it's going to become really clear. We're going to begin with the mythology. We're going to get into the phenomenological aspects, and we're going to end with the archaeological discoveries and conclusions. Let's go. So look, did you say thanks to the was it Pixie?
Yeah, Lara.
This was painted by Lara and sent to us.
Beautiful.
Look at it with the 3 lights around the top.
Absolutely stunning.
So thank you, Lara. What I've done is I've shown this because for the first 2 nights when you're here, the Thursday, Holy Thursday and Holy Friday, we're going to be observing La Peña de Huayca. And this is on the right-hand side and indeed the picture on the left. This is the view or the aspect that we're going to have from our property. See that picture on the right there? The picture on the left is an interpretation of the lights, but on the picture on the right, this is one I took in 2021, Vinny. And it was suggested by a skeptic recently that, not recently, years ago, that perhaps the phenomenon that's witnessed on the top of Waika is because people are standing deep in the valley and they're looking up at quite a gradient. And maybe what they're doing is seeing a star through the tree line, maybe Venus. So Venus was postulated as a potential, a sort of contender for what people have been seeing. So what I did was look at this on the right there, that picture. I took that picture at night that's Venus in the sky, and look at the tip of Waika, Vinny.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I recognize that.
Yes, you do. It's exactly what we saw. So that's the lights there. I thought that was lovely that you would thank Lara, and then we get to go and show her picture, which is great.
I have that artwork. I have that original artwork that you see there on the left. I have it here in physical, and it's actually a prize for the charity raffle that we're doing with UAP Media UK. And I can tell you right now, it is a beautiful drawing, but in person, when you unfold it and see it in person, it is so, so special. So for everyone out there,
can you take it with you?
Take it with me where?
Here.
No, because it's a prize in our UAP Media charity raffle, Christmas raffle, because it's that good. It's like one of the main prizes.
I'll give you 20 quid for that. Get it out of the raffle.
Nah, man, it's worth a hell of a lot more than 20 quid. I'll tell you that.
Okay, I'll get a print.
And we've got the original. It's worth way more, man. So
I'm
one
joking.
Lucky winner, and I'm not going to get sidetracked too much, but one lucky winner is going to win that.
I'm going to enter it.
Well, then, please do go to my Instagram and check out the post that I put out about that. But, you know, I want it.
All right, cool.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Anyway, moving on.
So that's the interpretation on the left, but there's the real thing on the right. There's an example of what we photograph here. As I say, you know what's really funny? Oh, no, let me know if you go into that. I wanted to show this. So we're in Tabio, you know. Here it is Tabio. That on the left is there in the bottom is Tabio in the valley, at the entrance to the valley. And there's La Peña de Huayca. So it's easy to see why the residents of Tabio report these lights. Can you see my mouse, Vinny?
Yes.
All right, nice one. So let me show you here. Here are the thermals, the Tabio thermals, where the Ziba, or the ruler from Bagata, once every 6 months would come here, do homage to Huayca, the goddess of the moon, on the top of La Peña de Huayca, and he'd come down here. Now see this line here, this long line from the nipple on the top of Huayca? If you go onto Google Maps and have a look at that, it's called the Ruta de los OVNIs. which is the UFO road on Google Maps, because the lights are seen here. And the lights are seen here. Are you still there, Vinny?
I am. I'm trying to deal with the chat at the same time. My apologies.
No, it's just when you go quiet, I start getting nervous because
Just look at the screen. My eyes, I've got my chat to my right, and I've got another screen to.
I'm looking at a whole screen presentation, so I'm out here lost in the ocean on like a canoe.
No, dude, you got this presentation. It's absolutely incredible.
Right, I'm just going to keep on showing. So we're in Tabio. We've got the Waika. It's right in front of us. But I want to take us along to play here. Look at this thing on the right. This is at one of the parks that surrounds the thermals. There's these giant heads representing the gods and the goddesses of La Peña de Huayca. There are apparently, we filmed this in 2019. There are 19 giant carved gods' heads on this mountain. So this modern cement version is an honor to the lost godheads of La Peña de Huayca. Imagine a mountain being so important that they would carve 19 giant stone heads on the mountain. Look, we are going to be on day 3, leaving Tabio. We're going to be going to Bogota. Bogota in itself, dude, is an absolute chaotic nightmare. It's like at 7 o'clock in the morning in Bogota, it's like 4 million 14-year-olds get on go-karts that can only go forward, that don't care what's behind or at the side. And we're going to do this. We're going to go and we're going to do Bogota. And not do Bogota. I hate people who say I did Scotland or I did Australia. You don't do countries, you visit them. So I take that
Bro,
back.
I'm so ready to do Bogota.
Oh, we'll go for wine at lunchtime. So the Museum of Gold is the largest collection of gold in the world. There's the museum owns 55,000 different artifacts, 5,500 of them display in the museum itself. Now, the reason I want to go there is not only to furbish our story about the Muiscas and the indigenous culture in Colombia who gave these offerings of gold and silver to the gods and the goddesses, but the Gold Museum owns the Quimbaja aircraft, or otherwise known as, told by ancient aliens as what do they call them? The Quimbaja artifacts. Essentially,
yeah, these have been featured in Ancient Aliens on an episode with you in it.
I know, I forgot. I did that 5 or 6 years ago. I know, because I'll tell you why. Because I'd always teetered around stuff like that, like interesting stuff, and then Ancient Aliens got in touch 5 or 6 years ago asking me about. It's about the Golden Sun Disk in Peru, and I went out. It was amazing, Vinny. I flew to Los Angeles, and I was there for a night, put up in a hotel, went along to this house the next day and filmed my interview, and didn't talk about aliens or anything, but it was slotted into their show, telling their story. And then I got quite a lot of shit after doing it from people that I quite respect myself. So I regret having done that. But you know what? Now I don't give a flying fuck. You know what I mean? It was great fun. And it was an insight. But yeah, Giorgio wears one of these artifacts around his neck. So here's what I want to do. Now, I'm not going to... this is going to sound... Oh, no, he's been a dick again. But listen to what I want to do. It's really, really, really inappropriate to say that these artifacts are ancient aircraft or flying machines. And let me tell you why. I'm going to show you this at the museum. If you give me any one of these artifacts, okay, I can take a zoological book from Colombia, from Amazonian Colombia, and I can give you a catfish and a mosquito type, the head of one and the body of another, and it will match these things. I can give you the flippers of a swamp turtle with the head of a jaguar. And what these represent, Vinny, these flying ancient craft, are parts of the shamanic transitional process between the shaman and his animal form. These are transitionary animals, and I want to tell that story to try and retain a modicum of respect for these incredible ancient artifacts, each one of them containing the story of thousands of years of indigenous tradition of worshipping the animals in nature that they're surrounded by. But I want to tell that story, but we're going to have a look at them, and we can have a play, because in the Museum of Gold, you know, there's actually people that do guides and stuff that believe they are the ancient aliens and that they are the ancient flying crafts and
I
machines.
get that.
Of course, but either way, let me rant on about my skeptical crap. And
Well,
you
let
can
me
all
just
question
quickly
it.
say, like everything's interpreted differently when you look at things, isn't it? Like, and that's the beauty of where we all come from in different things. But can you see the screen with me and you at the bottom right now, Ash?
I can see. Can
Can you see?
No.
So can you see from the side of me? There's like a white stripe of just nothingness.
Hang on a minute. Let's try and minimize this a little bit.
No.
Wait.
Oh, right. You can't, can you?
No, I've got full screen. Wow, I can see a.
But
So
look, just look to my. Can you see where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
Can you see what all you can see there? But watch this. I'm going to do something magical right now.
Go on.
There you go. What can you see?
Oh no!
Hello.
Zetterstrom comes in like a UFO,
Came in like a wrecking ball.
fast and unpredictable.
So please go back to your presentation, but I want to welcome Phenomenology co-compatriot and our good friend, Mr. Dan Zetterstrom.
Mr.
Thank you so much for
Lovely
coming
to
on,
see
Dan.
you guys. It worked
Me
out
too.
really well, but please don't let me interrupt. Carry on. This was really interesting.
Hang on a second. You can, an hour and yeah, I'll say it, an hour and 20 minutes into our chat, you arrive and the first thing you say is sorry to interrupt. Not having that. You can just say get on with it, or I'm sorry to have interrupted again.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Hey,
to have
Ash,
interrupted.
Ash.
Please carry on.
Yeah, or get on with it.
Right, so yeah, so listen, enough of my shenanigans. We're off to the Gold Museum and we're going to be filming all sorts of indigenous gold. But look at this. In the afternoon afterwards,
Whoa.
we're off to the planetarium and we're going to film with an astronomer in the planetarium, a leading Colombian astronomer who is he's published a book about UFOs, but he's a leading skeptic. He has some really, really interesting interpretations of the phenomenology in the valley here, but also in classic and archetypal UFO cases from the last 50 years. He presents some really dynamic explanations. But I must say, the reason I want to film with this guy is because he's the most respectful skeptic you're ever going to meet. He talks about the eyewitness phenomenon, the phenomenology of a sighting, the actual conscious experience of the person as being the key to understanding what things actually are. And he does large-scale assessments of different types of phenomenon, whether it was blue orb, yellow-tailed light, star pulsing. And so I want to go speak to him about what he thinks all these phenomenological eyewitness accounts in Colombia represent. And we're going to do that at the planetarium. Can you imagine the troops in there filming in the planetarium? It's cool.
I'm excited to see what the planetarium is like. The planetarium in New York was one of my favorite places there. So I'm a big lover of planetariums and just losing yourself in them. I have to ask, Ash, the planetarium on the left, did they intentionally make it look like a UFO or what?
Right. You're I can't believe you said that. So there's other ones from the side and it does absolutely look like a UFO. And I was putting this picture up and I thought either I've got to say it or Vinny's going to say that.
I was going to say
you.
Crash retrieval.
So the story is, my question has to be to you before I can't answer you about it being designed to look like a UFO. But let me ask you this.
Sure.
Can you present me with a planetarium that does not look like a UFO?
I guess, because like the structure kind of follows the form, right? With the bubble in the middle. But the reason it stood out to me is because when we visited the Moisca tribe in our first series, the temple that we were lucky enough to go in, the shaman explained to me that it was based on the shape of like the universe. And we spoke a little bit about how funny it was that the universe reflected the saucer kind of shape, and it's a very present shape for them, you know?
It's fascinating how that works. The Chimney Gaga, their creator god, is at the point of the roof, and then the hut. And this is why the phenomenon is called lit ranchitos, lit glowing huts, because the phenomenon are reported with angled roofs and then this straight side. And you're right, the Moisca Cosmoi, or the hut, the temple, does represent that. But of course, this represents the story of creation from the point of creation to this manifestation on Earth itself. But as you said, turn it on its side and it looks like a modern day scientist's chart of the Big Bang, but that's Zetterstrom pareidolia. So
Walter's just commented saying that he's stoked about the planetarium.
Good man. I thought he would be, and I thought it would be nice to, because you guys did all the interviewing last time. I thought because Walter he's got this 1600 millimeter telescopic lens. He is a telescope guy. He is the astronomer. He builds lenses. Let's maybe have Walter interview the astronomer. What do you think?
I think Walter needs to interview all of us on that aspect.
But
I want Walter to be the one asking the questions.
That's what I do too. I want him to come up with questions enough, because this guy is happy to talk about phenomenon. He believes there are UAP, he says safely, but he's got some things to say about the valley here that I think Walter's going to align with. I don't want to tell you everything that's in his book. He wrote the book in Spanish. It's called OVNIs, UFOs, published last year. Imagine, listen to this, the ex-director of the Bogota Planetarium coming forward last year and going, here's a book for you before I retire. What is it? UFOs. Everyone was like,
that's
what?
amazing.
Because he was also the director of the Colombian Society for Scientific Advances, which brings them all into it too. And of course, they're not shy to talk about phenomenology, ufology, and things out here at all. It's part of everyday life, as you both know.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to get on to my next slide. Okay, so
Walter says no. I say yes.
Yes, Walter, you can do it.
Look, guys, Laguna Guatavita.
Oh, I can't wait for this. This is my highlight so far. This is what I can't wait for.
Idea. And Walter's been here filming with us total exaggeration, 5 years in a row. He's been here 6 times, twice 1 year, and he's not yet been to Lake Guatavita. So I can't wait for him to get our new drone up over Laguna Guatavita. Imagine our visuals filming this. And and we're just going to have been at the Gold Museum in Bogota and found the most iconic archaeological discovery in Colombia's history, the Barca de Oro, the golden raft, which was discovered, which is emblematic for a ritual that was performed at Lake Guatavita. The ritual is known as the El Hombre del Dorado, which was misinterpreted as the city of El Dorado, and it kind of seeded the whole quest for the lost city of gold. It began as a ritual at this lake where a ruler-to-be covered in powdered gold was floated out into this lagoon on a raft, would jump into the water, and when he surfaced, all the local people, thousands of them, threw their offerings of gold in. So on the right there, you can see Candil, my mate, the leader of the Sesquil community who guard Guatavita, and Josh Gates from Discovery's, what's that called? Expedition
Unknown.
So there's me rattling on to Josh there about the legend of El Dorado and how it's important we see it for what it is, which is an ancient king-making ritual rather than this idea of a lost city of gold. So we're going to tell that story when we're there, but Candil's going to take us beyond where Josh and I filmed. We're going to be going to this ritualistic platform that overlooks Guatavita, and the reason we're going there is because in episode 3 of season 1, Dan, if you recall, Candil told us that their night watchmen see what they report as golden serpents in Lake Guatavita. We asked him if these were lights or serpents, and he said all of these volcanic plugs, these lagoons, there's several of them, are connected by underwater tunnels, which they know as portals, that the lights travel and emit and do funny things with these lagoons. So he's going to take us and show us where they see these night serpents, and we're going to stay there into the night. We're going to stay till about 8, 9 at night. It's going to drop to 8 degrees, and we're going to see if anything happens, because remember, we're on this week where the climate changes. These lagoons are filling up. There's a huge amount of geothermal pressure in the Andes at that time. So a great time to do a bit of night watching at Guatavita and see what exactly those night watchmen are seeing.
Walter asks, can we fish there? Lake trout.
I am not. I'm not going to answer it. I'm just going to say I'm not surprised he did.
I've just commented saying alien trout, Walter.
So let me tell you this, because we're on your channel. Let me tell you this. So 1993, a Venezuelan carpenter was on a week sabbatical to Lake Guatavita with the Candil in his community. He got up that night and he walked to the platform where we're going, and he claims he saw 2 silver discs entering the Laguna and them themselves turning into golden serpents. So we should probably talk. He was, if you were to Google Lake Guadavita ovnis, there's this famous story about twin UFOs. So that's another cool reason for going round.
Wait, this is huge, because that's 2 disc-shaped UFOs entering the water. You know, this is everything that we've been talking about for the last couple of years in the UFO community. This is transmedium UFOs. You know, Lake Guatavita. I saw the episode with Josh Gates, and
we didn't talk about that. That was, but I thought it's interesting because that story I just told you about the 2 UFO discs, and is kind of like, what would that be like? That would be like, say a case in America that's not quite Roswell, not quite Betty Barney Hill, not quite as iconic as the Tic Tac, but just like a kind of middle of the road case, but it's been here for 30 years.
I'll take it.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm all excited about what reflects in the lagoon from this platform that maybe perhaps doesn't reflect under other circumstances. Because remember, the greatest ritual of the year is played when the moon performs its zenith above the Laguna when it's full, and you look into the lagoon and you see the great big disc of Chia, the moon, in the air. So for someone to see a shining disc in Guatavita, I'll give you your chance. We'll go with it, but there's several shining discs that we could consider prior to the one that came from Alpha Centauri.
Wow.
So anyway, there we go. We're getting private access to Lake Guatavita. And I remember, I want you to all be totting this up, because we're going to get to the price at the end when we're asking folk, all right? So this is all...
Dude, I'll be vlogging this for like Instagram and stuff, so don't...
Good man. So after Lake Guatavita, so this is us. This is all HQ based for the first 4 days. We've been to the Tabio Thermals. We're filming at night on Holy Friday. We're going to the planetarium. We're going to the Gold Museum. We're going to Lake Guatavita, and then we head north. We're going to be going about 5 hours drive north into the really, really hot part of Colombia. It's like a different climate altogether. It's essentially the desert. The reason I put the picture in on the left is because that is not a movie set. The town is in its traditional 500-year-old format. Villa de Leyva is one of the first colonial towns of Colombia. It's an absolute mind-blowing experience. Everything's 400 years old. All the plazas, all the rocks, all the horses, all the shops, all the people maintain the village, the traditions of it. But it's also the center of astronomy in Colombia because the skies are so clear and it's so high. What's exciting is, on Holy Week, as you can see on the right, people come along with telescopes from all over Colombia and show them off like a lowrider rally. They show off their big telescopes. So we're going to go up there and we're going to interact with astronomers. Now, this is what's funny. We're going to go out. We're going to be staying in this traditional place with 8 bedrooms. We're going to go out that night, drink too much beer and wine, and the next day we're meeting this guy, and he is a very well-respected astronomer in the Astronomical Society of Colombia. But he's a bit of a thorn in the side because this guy in his observatory, a big square garage with a roof that opens up in the night, but it's completely emblazoned with green fluffy aliens. He's a UFO alien maniac, if I can say such a word. So, and he's got big telescopes. So listen to this. The reason we're meeting him is because his friend, the guy we're interviewing at the planetarium, the astronomer at the planetarium, the ex-director of the planetarium, says that he's had 3 sightings of anomalous phenomenon, even though he's written a book called UFOs as a Skeptic. He said on 3 occasions. I'm not going to bore you with his other 2, but this is why we're in Villa de Leyva. He was at the Colombian Astronomical Conference in 2021 last year in Villa de Leyva, and they were outside for a cigarette, him and 3 astronomers, and they looked to the south in Villa de Leyva and they saw an orange ball coming over the hill. And this man turned to his 2 colleagues and said, "Isn't it just a splendid coincidence that on our conference week a meteor would come in?" And they were aghast at it, but he said, rather than continuing its course over the opposing horizon, it stopped, it turned, it went back on its course. This is the ex-director of the planetarium telling us he saw that, and but he cannot explain what that is, and he saw two other. However, the reason we're here is because what he saw in a broader context is a phenomenon in Vigileva is very similar to what we have in Waika, and it's known as the Estrella Extraña, the strange star. For 200 years at least, above Vigileva, people have reported an orange star in the sky that moves to the left, moves to the right, sinks in the sky, rises in altitude. So again, it's a wonderful thing with 200 years of tradition. Perhaps the ex-director of the planetarium saw it himself. He certainly tells that story. But I want to go and see if us lot on Holy Week in Vigileva can spot the strange star or whatever that might be. Imagine going off hunting for the strange star. That's just a documentary series on its own, isn't it? The Strange Star.
God, yeah, absolutely. Ash, I got a little request of you as well. Like, again, something up your screen. Just go back to the way it was when you looked at that thing on the side, you know?
Oh, wait a minute. I know what you're going to do here. This is like that thing. This is your like. Dun, 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 dun.
This, Ashley, Mr. Ashley Cowie, would be a good time to introduce our newest member of the team. Please, everybody, welcome the newest member of Phenomenology for season 2, Elena.
Elena, how are you?
Hello.
Welcome.
It's good to be a part of the team. Thank you.
Great stuff.
It's good to be here with you all. Surprise.
Listen, you could not imagine. Of course, I was going to surprise you, man. You know what I'm like.
I didn't expect this at all. I thought I was going to switch off and switch on, and it was going to be Walter. That's what I was expecting. And I was about to say when you said the newest member of the team, I'm like, no, he's not.
Oh, listen, Elena has been so vocal in the comments, and I just I tweeted her going, "You've got to come on, like, come on."
Elena, is all this making any more sense to you after this chat I've been having with Vinny? Are you any more looking forward to it?
Oh, I don't think I could look forward to it anymore. I've got so many questions, especially that planetarium trip. We're gonna have so much fun.
So far, you know, Elena's been on the team, and this is her second time with us, and we've been talking. The things you've showed interest most in is, which you kind of aligns with Walter a lot. It's you jumped when I said there's maybe climatological, electrical phenomena going on in the valley, and you jumped when we talk about astronomy, more so than when we talk about the spirits of dead Moiskas and the souls of saints.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what right now. Every day I see Elena's posts on Twitter and stuff. She posted something today about her books, and she showed like some spines of some books, and it was like Keel and all these amazing books. And I was just like, this girl is so far intellectually advanced from myself that I cannot wait for her to be a part of the team and to just teach me.
That's
stuff,
amazing.
You know?
So
Well, that's what's so beautiful about what you're doing is the diversity of perspectives that you bring together and the compassionate intentions behind this endeavor. So
that's amazing for you to say. That's really amazing. But like we formed a really good team in season 1, but I feel like you've now added to the fact that we're going to have an even, like almost like a supercharged team for season 2. Yeah, supercharged team for season 2.
Thank you.
Vinny, sorry, Ash. Let me throw you off your vibe there, bro.
No, it's all about.
Don't let me interrupt, Ash. I'm so sorry.
No, again, you're like that. What do you mean?
Yeah, you did the same as me.
I'll own this.
This is like a sketch from Airplane, isn't it? Everybody comes in and interrupts me and goes, "Sorry for interrupting, Ash." If you were sorry for interrupting, you wouldn't be here. That's the truth.
Yeah, dude, that's true. I'm not sorry, but I love you.
We're good.
Proud to interrupt you, Ash. Please carry on.
Exactly. Let's keep things good, clear here. I don't know how to do my full screen thing again. That vibe I've lost completely. That kind of focus.
I love live streaming.
How would I do share? How would I go full screen? Dan, you know the stuff. You know the
I think window along the top.
Window. Yeah. Slideshow. Look at that. Window.
Next one.
No.
Oh,
no. Go back to slideshow, but don't play from current slide. No, not from the start.
No, because I just zoomed through it, Vinny. I'm not
Skip
like.
through, yeah.
Okay, here we go. So, all right, I will pick back up. Then I'm going to try to regain my mojo. We were in
You got
Villa de
this.
Leyva. I got this. We're in Villa de Leyva, and we've just been at this guy's astronomical center, and he's a full-on 100% believer in visitors from other planets, whereas his buddy in the planetarium in Bogota isn't. But between the two of them, we're going to get some great stories about UAP and this strange star. So, Vinny, you'll love this place for obvious reasons.
What?
This is
is that a wine? Does it give me wine?
I think it's a penis joke. It's
I see what you did there, man.
So yeah, so we'll start with the picture on the left. El Infernito is 5 miles from Villa de Leyva. El Infernito is the oldest pre-Columbian standing stone Muisca site in the country. There's nothing older. It's a lunar chronometer. It's a lunisolar calendar. It's a predictor of seasonal climate change, El Niño y la Niña, the dry and wet phenomenon that affects the whole of South America. And this matrix of stone alignments aligns with a hill known as Santa Barbara Hill. If we follow the alignment from this stone to Santa Barbara Hill, so the equinox alignment from El Infernito, it identifies the hill that the strange star is noted above, leading to the question, how long has the strange star been observed in Colombia, whatever that strange star might be? Also from this site, in a hill beside the Santa Barbara Hill, on Holy Week, it's reported that there's a flickering blue and orange flame that appears to move along the hill. It appears to arc above the hill and then vanishes after about an hour. So we're going to be there on that week. And again, from El Infernito, we're going to have an early start there, but we're going to be telling the story of the Muiscas, of their astronomy, of their mythology, of their ritualization of the landscape, all the lagoons and the mountains. Everything here had a male or a female denomination. And what's bizarre with that is the mountains and hills associated with red Mohanolites are associated with female goddess Chia, and the Mohan are associated with the male mountains. So we're going to be telling that story from El Infernito. Because this site's related to the sky was generally in indigenous mythologies and cosmologies interpreted as a male entity. So you can see all the stones are phallic because it's a male site relating to alignments in the sky. Whereas if it was a site built for honor of the goddess of worship, of the goddess, fertility goddess Pachamama, it's going to be yonic. You're going to see vaginal shaped stones and carvings. So we're going to be there exploring this whole thing, El Infernito, the Little Hell. And the Spanish, when they arrived here, they called it the Little Hell because they knew it was the heart of Muisca culture. So what was the god of the old religions, the positive god of the old religions, simply became the devil of the new. And this site's known as Little Hell. That's why there's loads of standing stones in the UK known as Devil Stones. And so this is my favorite. The day after we're at Sogamoso, at El Infernito, we're going to the oldest temple in the country, the Temple of the Sun in Sogamoso. It's an enormous wooden sun temple that when the Spanish arrived in the early 1350s, in the early 1700s, the early 1600s, 17th century, Pedro Cobo recorded that there were more priests in attendance at this temple than at Mecca. We're talking 16,000 solar priests in attendance to the High Zaki ruler of this temple. We're getting in to have a look, do a small ritual with the people that look after it. And we're going to do virtually what we did in episode 3 of season 1. But again, we're learning the story of the Muiscas in one of the holiest cities in Colombia. It's going to be crazy up there. Sogamoso is going to be, because we're going to be there in Holy Week, right? It's going to be alive. All the Marias are going to be out getting presented around the streets. All the carnival people will be out getting pissed up. It'll just be great fun. Sogamoso in Holy Week. So after that, we're coming south. We're going to be stopping at a town called Turmique. Turmiquet is the home of the national sport of Colombia, which is known as tejo. Tejo is when a player has a metallic disc and he throws it through the air against a platform of fireworks, gunpowder and paper. So we're going to be going to the home of Turmiquet, and the reason why is the ex-director of the Geological Society of Latin America said this 2 years ago. So often in Turmiquet did the indigenous Muiscas watch metallic discs flying through the air that they founded the game Turmiquet in its honor, in which they throw metallic discs through the air to make a flashlight. We're going to tell the story of the Turmiquet and the flying discs of the Turmiquet Valley. And this is what's cool about this one. We're going to head home after that, and then the next day, we're going to play Tejo and drink booze.
Is this like one of these pub sports where people get better as they drink more? Or is it totally the opposite?
The way it works is, so there is a circle of paper in triangles, and in that paper are fireworks, gunpowder. So you throw your disc, and if you hit and make a flame, everybody buys you a beer. So if you're playing with 4 people, you've got 3 beers coming in. But not
just
many.
Make sure they know how to spell VINNIE.
Yeah, but the way
you spelled VINO wrong, Vinny.
I'll take either, man.
Yeah,
nothing can go wrong. You've got booze and explosions.
Exactly.
Or with a DJ in front, DJ disclosure.
It's so Colombia. If you knew, well, you do know Colombia. It's so representative of the country where their national sport and pastime is essentially throwing metallic shit, making a flash, and getting pissed.
That sounds right in my street.
Aye, me too.
Hell yeah.
So there we go. We're going to go and play some Tejo, and we're going to talk to these guys. Can you see me or just my screen?
Well, I can see the full screen, but you in the corner.
Can the public see? Can I go back to my normal? I just want to show you what's happening with Waika behind me. The sun's setting, and it's
right now.
Yeah.
I can full screen you now. Yeah.
Full screen me and let me turn my screen around and show you.
Oh, dear goodness.
I just about hung myself with my headphones.
What? Don't tell me the lights are happening.
No, well, who knows? It's that time, but I want you to see the sky. It's biblical.
Yeah, we can see the blue tarpaulin.
No,
you can see the mountain above it. I can see. Well, there we go. We got the full mountain range. There's Waika. If anybody can see my mouse cursor, there's the peak
I need
of Waika.
To see what you can see. Oh no, there it is. There. Oh, damn it! I can't zoom in because it's my crappy computer.
But that peak where my mouse cursor is the peak.
Can't see your mouse cursor. I don't think
you can't. Okay.
No.
So La Pena de Waika is the kind of nipple shaped.
Oh, sorry. Right there.
The prominent nipple. Yeah. That's La Pena de Waika. That's the mountain where we see the lights.
That's where we went up and kind of sat on the front.
That's where we walked up, but we're going to walk up it again.
This road here, this angle is called the Ruta de los OVNIs, the UFO road. It's on Google Maps. So often, I'm going to leave it right there. Look at that.
Sorry, guys. I didn't realize that anybody couldn't see my cursor, but yeah.
Right.
That's right. I love the passion thing.
Hey, that's all I'm about, passion, baby.
So look, we've been to El Infernito and we've been to the temple at Sogamoso and we've been playing Tejo and beer. So look, I want to leave it with this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can the public see me or just my screen, Vinny?
Well, at the moment you're like prominent in the screen, and me, Dan, and Elena are down the side in smaller.
So can you put on this last slide then?
Hold on 1 second. Let me just do this. Yep. Your slide is prominent.
Is it?
Yep.
This here has never been seen before. Nobody's ever seen this.
Wait, I don't know about this, and Dan doesn't know about this.
This is
None
nothing.
of us.
This is only this. This is like looking at the number on somebody's door. And that's what we're looking at here. So this is a pictogram that's never been seen before that we discovered. And this is the entrance and to something absolutely spectacular that we're going to show in episode 7 of season 2. We're going to go and show you at this. As I say, it's never been publicized before. Nobody knows it's there. It's in an indigenous reserve tucked away in a corner of Colombia that's seldom explored. And we're going to go for it. We're going to show you some exceptional and mind-bending archaeology. Got any ideas what kind of animal that might be?
We were guessing.
What do you think?
I kind of see long jaws, if I'm the right way around, like crocodile, alligator, lizard, something like that.
Dude, it's got quite a big sort of barrel body. It's got this defined tail here. It's got 2 legs on this side. So is there any chance there that could be a tusk and a mouth?
A mammoth.
Then it would have to be 12,000 years old, Vinny.
Right.
Which is an interesting date to land in.
Some might think that. I'm saying nothing more about it. I'm just showing you a pictogram.
I don't know what you want to...
Put a link up to Graham Hancock's new series, Vinny, just quick.
It's actually a triceratops. Look, it's a dinosaur.
Well, that makes more sense than a mammoth, definitely.
No, you don't get triceratops like 600 million years old, and mammoth were here.
Forget about the age. I'm looking at the picture, and I'm looking at my.
You can't forget about the age.
Well, dude, let me say this.
Yeah, forget about the date range.
I am lucky enough to have a daughter that's 5 years old that is into dinosaurs. I read about triceratops about 3 times a week.
You can't give me an apple and say, and it's an orange, and then just ignore the color, Ash. It's an apple.
Well, give me a chance. Okay, give me a chance. Okay. So if that represents the triceratops.
And I was talking utter shite there. That was a laugh. That wasn't a thought. That wasn't real. It's not certainly not a triceratops. Behave yourself.
Younger Dryas triceratops.
So we're looking at about 12,000 years old, whatever it is. Yeah.
Even if it is that, how many pictograms are dated to 12,000 BC? What we're going to get, I'm going to be distracted here because all it is cheesy droppings, clues. All I'm saying is we're off to this amazing archaeological site.
That's what I mean. Like, we don't know, and I love that. I love that. I love so much that we have something that is. When we get there, we'll know.
It's like Walter's just dropped a magic word here, LiDAR, and yes, we are going to scan these so we have 3D maps of these places.
Yep.
Electromagnetic reading.
I don't think we'll have LiDAR though.
No.
Yep.
Vinny, I've got LiDAR on my phone.
No,
how deep do you go though, bro?
I've got a ghost hunter. You can see it.
What does that even mean? I love it though. It needs to be on the t-shirt. How deep do you go though, bro?
I'll tell you what.
Phenomenology.
The episode.
You go, bro.
The episode's going to be demonetized if you continue like this.
Dude, this was meant to be the Christmas episode where anything goes. I don't care. Run koala in the chat. Let's
see if anything can go. Can I go to the toilet?
Of course you
yes,
can.
But you have to leave the stream. You can't just go where you're sitting. That's frowned upon.
And I'll
Leslie Nielsen Zetterstrom.
Yes, you got it.
While Ash is in the toilet, I want to speak to Elena and say, Elena, what are you excited about?
Oh, what am I excited about? I'm hoping we can camp up on Huayca, but we'll see what the weather's like, right? I have to say, I think Lake Guatavita is going to be incredible. The ritual that's performed there at that time of year, it's so similar to other rituals that are performed, like baptismal rites at holy sites, at similar times of year, and where there's water flow all of a sudden. And I love these resonant valleys where there's like this type of geological battery going on. So there's so many connections. As you were saying, I had like 10 books I'm reading. about the interconnectedness of the subject. There's, the physics, consciousness, energy aspects, and then not to mention, the potential OP and UAP having sentiency. So, it's a lot of research to do, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So
Absolutely. And no, this is the great thing. We're so happy that you're part of the team, and it's going to resonate with the audience when you're filmed and talking about everything we're experiencing. But it's the private conversations as well that happen off camera that I think are just going to be so monumental, as much as what we see Ashley with the cameras in your face. It's a beautiful thing, and this is where I'll give credit to Ashley. He will throw a camera in your face, but still allow you to act natural. It's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. And I cannot stress that enough. Like for 2 weeks, that was the thing. Like he just has a way of doing it, and it works. And yeah, kudos to you, Ash.
Just ask you to tell the truth, and you feel safe doing that with me.
Yeah. Oh man, like never before, man. Like never before. But nothing I've experienced and since, and we've been in bigger productions since with BBC film production companies.
Really
this year, well, you were there with the Scotland and stuff.
Indeed. No, that's good to hear. I'm delighted that you think that. That's how it's got to be. There's nothing worse than you can have the most confident people in the world, but as soon as the camera's on them, they freeze, they change, they feel as if they have to sort of guard what they can say. And you always feel that there's lots of people that are they're a pace behind. What that means is their mind's thinking about what they should really say because it's the truth. And then there's this secondary filter, and then they say what they think people want to hear. You lot were a pleasure in the sense that, well chosen, I should say too, not because you all communicate confidently and straight, and you're not intimidated by a camera. And the outcome is nobody's made to be a fool. Nobody's made out. I don't do anything dramatic. I don't make up false conflict that you can do. I can make you all look as if you hate each other by just taking pieces of what you all say. But I think you saw yourself. You're all represented quite as you are, and there was no funny business.
Yeah,
you actually did really well with that. And I remember some moments thinking like, oh God, did I say that? Ashley is he could make me look horrific, but you chose really good parts, and you understood my argument at times, I think, better than I did.
Sometimes I have to be straight though. Like don't just because you didn't look horrific, don't for a second think that sometimes you weren't horrific because you were. I just edited that out. Simple.
Listeners, I just want to bring this comment up. So Vorak in the comment says, any new guests in season 2? Well, we've just introduced a new team member, Elena, but she's certainly not a guest. She is an integral part of the team. But one thing that I have been doing, which I guess the team doesn't necessarily know, is that I have been having conversations with people behind the scenes as far as advice for work in South America. And who has recently put out a documentary from South America? James Fox, Brazil.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's right.
James has gladly provided me with a Christmas video, which I put out on my socials. So I'm in a little bit of back and forth with James. So maybe he could help us in our investigations in Colombia. And so last time we had advice from Sean Cahill and Lou Elizondo, which, would be great again. Lou and Sean are always welcome to give us advice on what we're doing. But maybe this time James might be a little bit of involved in some way or other. But yeah, I know you guys want to see big names and that, but
hang on a minute. You just got 20 quid from Red Panda Cola. How much of that do I get?
No way.
This is all of it, Ash, right?
What's going on here? I didn't know this.
Dude, Red Panda Koala, who I'm a huge fan of, almost like a fanboy. I'm a fanboy of Red Panda Koala.
Well, of course you are. They give you $20.
No, dude.
Love Red Pandas. Love his documentaries as well. And
I've been following Red since like the early days of his work, and even when he did the work recently as well with Jesse Michaels, which was huge. And Red is the kind of person that you want to be like when you speak, because he's so cool, calm, and collected when he describes the phenomena. He's just like natural for the camera. But he says here in this comment,
I'd highly recommend his videos on the whole Tom DeLonge thing and the core kind of narrative there. He puts it together really, really well. There's 2 episodes that are just so concise and
he's done this before, and it blows me away. So I'm going to read it out. Red says, "Great job on the episode, guys. The editing was super professional and sharp.
Do you want me to read it?
And in a beautiful location with interesting phenomena history. Looking forward to the next one. Happy holidays, dude." I appreciate that. Like, damn, man. Honestly, that gives us credibility, because I'm not saying anybody else in the chat that's seen this doesn't have credibility, but when you get that kind of nod, just that little nod, gives you that little bit of
the nice thing there is the fellow has taken his time to choose words and write exactly what he likes about it. It's not just a generic, yeah, I loved it. Yeah, it was great. No, the guy's saying all of the things he thought was done well. So that's good on him. Good old Red Panda.
Hey, Ash, maybe you need maybe a little post-editing assistance with Red Panda Koala there.
I would love it if anybody could help me at all with editing. So let's maybe ask Red Panda what he can bring to the gig.
There you go. Thank you so much,
Koalas,
Red Panda Koala.
Red Pandas.
We love you, man.
There's another comment from him there.
No, don't say that. Stop. No, right. So yesterday I was being a dick yesterday because somebody on Twitter, Lex Fridman, posted, "I love all you guys," and I just did it. And I'm going to tell you now to stop saying "I love you guys," because you sound like a Hollywood actor taking an Emmy and saying the most. You don't love us, but you really like. You really like us.
Yeah, but Ash, that's like saying brother on.
I asked
Vinny. You know why I say that? You know why I say that?
Dan, I asked Vinny this before. I never call people brother, apart from my brother in real life. But when I'm on podcasts, I keep calling everybody right brother all the time. Why? Is it infectious? Is it a nervous thing maybe, where I hear all the American confident folk calling each other brother all the time? So I think it kind of happens then when you're in this setting, perhaps.
Dude, did we not form a bond in Colombia though?
Oh, indeed, brother.
Brothership with the sun. There you go.
You can call me sister. Okay.
I was going to say,
Elena, there was a temple that we weren't allowed in on the Moisca community. It was only for women, and we said to what was the question when we asked if Walter could go into it? What was the answer we got, Ash?
Lydia shouted over and says, "You're not allowed in here. It's for women only. It's the Temple of the Moon." And I said, I just thought in the politest way, it's a sacred area, so you can't use swear words, but there are almost swear words which you can use. It. And I said, is it okay if Walter gets access to the female's temple because he's got a mangina? And it just went silent, but we dropped it into episode 3 because
so funny.
Yeah, but I'll tell you now, if Elena is sister now, she's going to be high priestess by the time we finish.
High priestess.
That's why you invited me. Someone's got to get in the moon temple. I see.
There we go. See,
she's figured this out, guys.
She's already one step ahead of us. So and this is what excites me so much. Like, Ash, what we need to decide now with this specific interview is, do we need, or do the people or the viewers or the listeners need to know anything else before we finish? Because I could have this conversation with you, Dan, and Elena for the next 2 or 3 hours. But one thing I will shout out is that we are going to move this to Instagram afterwards to do a special Christmas Instagram live.
Right, so you just want my general opinion on a few things that people might want to think about, or just in general.
Yeah. I just want to.
All right, so Vinny's general presenting style is pretty. So no, let's it's as simple as this. If folk want to come to Colombia between April 6th and April 16th, 2023 next year to join us 4 and Walter and the 2 Natalias and another 2 folk, we're going to be 8 or 9 strong, go to UAP Colombia /PS2, PlayStation 2, PS2 which is Phenomenology Season 2. You're just going to fill in your name, your email address, tell us what you think you can bring to the project, and I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to drop you an email, and we're going to have a chat, and we'll be putting your name into our list, and in January we'll be pulling out the last 2 or 3 people that we want to come along and film with us, and that's the way it's going to work. So let me tell you the cost. Let's not hide anything here. Oh, let me show you this, guys. Can I share my full screen again, Vinny?
Of course you can, man.
Nice. Look at this. You ready?
Yep.
So I better do my full screen. One tick. And what was it I did again?
Oh, sorry, Elena. Sorry. Wait. Hold up. Wait. Hold up.
There you go.
Where's my full screen again, Dan?
Command F or slideshow.
Command F. No.
I know that'll just put the app full screen. My bad. Yeah, you got it.
Right, here we go. So once we get to we've played our Tejo and beer and their archaeological site. There we go. If people can ask, I thought we should leave this at least for a few minutes on the screen, Vinny, because it shows exactly what folk are going to get when they come. I'll run through it quickly. First and foremost, they're going to feature in Season 2 of our Phenomenology documentary series. They're going to be collected by a private driver from Bogota El Dorado Airport. They're going to be driven 2 hours into the hills to HQ, and we're going to welcome them in front of a coal fire, as you know happens.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to stay for 9 nights accommodation, right? So 9 nights accommodation, that's 3 nights at HQ, 5 nights on the road around Colombia, and then 3 more nights at HQ. All of the meals are included. It's all traditional Colombian food. We're not eating much pizza. We're not eating many pizzas. Certainly one for Vinny every time.
Hey.
All of the entries to the museums, the transport when we're traveling around Colombia, the interviewing with indigenous communities, and the payments we make to them, it's all included, including security guards and these guides, Julio and his 4 brothers. And then we're going to get you back to the airport for your homeward flight. Whole thing, $2,500. That's it. All included to get you here. And that's everything for the week. So as you said at the start, you're $5,000 or $6,000 for a week in Colombia. We're doing this whole sort of 10-day trip here for $2,500. So that's us. Our cards are on the table. We're looking for 2 more people. And I just can't wait to see who applies as a result of this. If anybody's stayed this long, they're certainly keen, right?
They're not only keen, but they're ready to experience a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to. I still try and visualize the fact that from the moment I left Northern England in Sheffield on a coach to go down to Birmingham to meet Dan, to stay in a hotel, to fly out to, the whole adventure from start to finish was like something that you would expect to see in this day and age on a YouTube channel for the biggest vloggers. And I say that from an aspect of modern entertainment, let's say. It's not like so I've always been big on YouTube and stuff like that. Not me personally, but I've always been big on watching YouTube and watching the period of getting from A to B is almost as important from B to C, the big project. You know what I mean? So that whole aspect of what me and Dan did was like, well, it was the biggest adventure of my life.
Yeah.
And we had a serious laugh along the way.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Like, who gets to travel half over around the world to a country they never thought they would ever visit, to then not just reside in that country, but then go on and do bigger and better things within that country. I mean, it beggars belief that I could go on about it for hours, and we've already been 2+ hours here, but yeah, it's serious. I mean, Dan, let's give your perspective, because I know you'll be better at describing what I'm trying to say.
It was just, there was a lot of fun, kind of, because I remember coming up to Birmingham, I met you, and you kind of had a little gathering of some people who watch your channel, and that was the first place I met Max McCabe and a few other people who've since become friends. And then, yeah, we flew to Colombia, and that was a lot of fun. haggling with the air hostesses to get kind of be able to stretch our legs out on the seats and sleep along the way and stuff like that. I remember ending up in the back kind of fixing some MacBooks and things like that for them. And then, we arrived there. We were collected from the airport. Everything was super easy. And it was amazing feeling safe because you've got Ashley, you've got both Natties, who were referred to collectively as the Illuminati, and they just looked after everything for us, and we could really just relax, and just experience it properly. And then as we went kind of about our days, it was so enjoyable, and it just included experiences that money can't buy, really. I would say the connections that Ash had, the package they put together was just, I was going to say once in a lifetime, but twice in a lifetime, I guess now. But it really was outstanding.
I'd agree with the connections that Ash has got here, the Julio and his brothers and all the drivers and everybody. We were safe. Let's be really adult about this. Colombia isn't one of the safest countries in the world, is it? But when you look at that reality straight on and take all the precautions, we managed to course through it, and we didn't meet any of the nasties that a struggling country can sometimes have. So that's the quality of our contacts, is the safety that you experience when you're here. That's a fact.
Absolutely, man.
Well, guys, nice. Can I tell you, no, before your guys stuff.
Now Ashley's interrupting.
I love it. I love, bro. Do you know what? I love this so much, man. This is what I wanted from this discussion. Like the fact that we're showing that we're all friends, and as much as we do the serious work, we can have a laugh as well, man. Ashley has given me something in my lifetime that I never thought would happen, and so I love him to bits. He's a brother, man. So Ashley, go for it. You got 30 seconds. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Forgot what I was going to say because you spoke again. I was going to say what's nice in doing what we're doing is there's lots of landscapes and scenery and stuff in the film, and it's so nice to be making a film or films in Colombia that have nothing to do with Pablo Escobar. You know what I mean? It's like coming to Scotland and making a film that's got nothing to do with Robert the Bruce, or going to Germany and do nothing to do with Hitler. He's this archetypal figure in the thing, and it's so nice to dissolve that side of the history of Colombia and to be putting out something about Colombia that's positive and new, rather than looking back to the dark days, which is so archetypal of filmmakers here.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
Absolutely.
That is a thing. We are doing that, but that gets recognized here.
You're even
absolutely
looking into the history of the culture before that happened. So you're bringing history to new light, which is even more beautiful. Really glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, nice one. I'm sure you're going to love it. I really have no doubts at all. And once January comes, we'll be having this, but there'll be another 3 or 4 people will be on the meeting that'll be in the team. So it's quite funny because we're like the folks that were at in the kitchen at the party first, and before everybody got back from the club, right? So we've got the wee thing going, and then before we know it, the things are going to swell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just, before we start wrapping, can I just ask Elena about this cat picture behind her on the wall, because it has hands? Am I correct?
That's incredible! Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've been in my life for a long time. I feel like it really sets up my personality. So
I would imagine a Jungian psychologist would have a heyday with that.
Oh yeah, complex, very complex.
That's another day. That's another conversation. I'm sorry.
Oh, Vinny's moving for a close. Let's get on.
I'm going for a close. We can do the Instagram live on this all day and night, but like
no. We can do it. You can.
I'm conscious of my audience, like so. Guys,
Indeed.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
Yeah, tell me,
dude. Every time you come on, man, 1 year down the line, you kill it, man. You always make it more exciting for me because you know me, I'm excited no matter what, and I'm sure you're going to capture so much B-roll of me. It's unreal.
What you're actually saying, and I know what you mean. I know what you, and it is this. Love having you on, Ash, because you talk so long that I can just sit back and let it roll.
No.
I know that. I know that. It's nothing for you to talk about.
Did you hear what I said though? You're gonna have so much B-roll for season 2.
Oh yeah. And the audio's all quite good, isn't it?
Dude, the audio is incredible.
Great.
I mean, I could keep talking. This is the thing. I could keep talking. This was the conversation that I wanted to have before Christmas because I knew it would be between friends. It would be the most casual conversation I've had all year, but it probably would be the most important conversation that I would have all year because it pushes me and Dan, Ashley, Elena, and all of our team into 2023 for some of the most important work that we're going to be doing. And so I love the fact that we can go from casual to serious and have a good time about it.
When was the serious bit?
Hey,
when was the serious bit?
The cat picture discussion. That was the serious.
No. The fact that I had all the screens ready to share. But Ashley put together a fucking presentation.
There was a slideshow.
That's my boy. That's my
slideshow
boy.
Was good.
Look,
yeah,
he killed it, Ash, man. Kudos to you, brother.
Drop the mic, Ash.
Let's take this to a more casual place on Instagram in like 10-15 minutes.
And the sun is setting just behind Ashley there as well.
Can you see it? Night operations are starting soon. Look at that.
There's silhouette there.
Wacker right there, ready for going.
Dude, this is the thing, man. Ashley's there day in, day out.
Look at this.
He is, dude.
Is he gonna streak? Don't streak.
My beast is ready to go.
Tradition.
Yes.
The dude's built a UAP lodge on site.
I have. We built this 2-bedroom ensuite center with a glass window overlooking Waika and space.
If you want to talk about, talk about dedication to the cause,
colors.
Yeah.
Wait, have you just put a filter on your?
It really tastes good.
No, Vinny, this is what I'm saying. That the sunset is incredible. This is what we're filming. Look at it. Let me open the door.
I've been there.
I kind of want to just show you guys Mexico, just in case.
So we got
it's
Mexico
not as nice
here.
But, you know.
Mexico here. We got Colombia down here.
I'm just gonna
Elena, what state are you in?
Yeah.
Very dark.
Hang on, I can't hear a thing you're saying. You look like a mime.
But we're pretty global right now.
Yeah, we are.
Oh man.
Cross-cultural perspective. I love it.
Oh yeah, that is a cross-cultural perspective.
Everyone in the chat's feeling good right now. Red Panda Koala says feeling good about 2023. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. We are going to jump over to Instagram Live, so go and follow me on Instagram, Disclosure Team. We're going to jump over live.
I've got one more thing.
Go on. Can you not say this? Can you not say this at the Instagram Live?
Well, obviously I can't, or I wouldn't have interrupted.
Sorry for interrupting.
This better be good, bitch.
I wanted to personally thank everybody who's spent dollars and bought the season on Vimeo season 1. This is going to be published in the VOD, Vimeo on demand, and it means that people might there see this. So thanks a lot, everybody who bought season 1. It was great. And we'll be sending you an email sometime towards the spring that'll have a discount for you to watch season 2 from the team. So that was it. Thank you directly to people.
Can I ask you, Ashley? Someone asked me yesterday, and it would be good for you to answer here. They said, instead of renting it, am I going to be able to buy this eventually? Because I'd like a copy. No? Oh, cool. Nice straightforward answer.
Wait, I'm actually gonna close out my own show right now to say, for everybody interested who hasn't seen Phenomenology season 1,
oh sorry, I've got one more
thing.
The
description below. We are now offering 25% off the whole season 1. Go and check it out. It's shit. It's really good. And now Ashley's just blowing us away with these nighttime scapes. Oh man!
Wow,
you're going to be like, this is where you're going to be sleeping. Where I am filming right now. So at night, you're lying in your bed looking at that.
Do you know what? I love all of you. I love all of you. I have got the ultimate finisher for this conversation, and I'm going to say it in 3.
I love how you are when you're drunk.
Dude.
One more thing.
DJ Disclosure in the house. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Whee!
No way. Walter
hey guys.
of Nebraska.
I'm with my sister and her family here in Houston, listening off and on with you guys. Great to see you all.
Hey, nice one, dude. It's great to see you all, Walter. This is Walter Payne, another phenomenologist, as you know from the series. How a surprise. This is like Christmas Day.
Hey.
Guys, this is good. From what I hear, this is going to be a great time. I've been in and out of chat. And
yeah,
Ashley, dude, you know I say something like this every time, but you have done a great job in getting us access to a lot of these sites. And I can't tell you how humbled I am just to gain access to some of these native people's sites.
Yeah.
There is one question I wanted to ask. Is there going to be an opportunity to do another ceremony like you did before?
We're doing it. We're going to do it in the Sogamoso Temple of the Sun up north. And if not, we're going to be with Candil at Guatavita. So they do these ceremonies open air as well. So they'll probably do something on the banks of Guatavita, a ceremony with the tobacco ritual. And yeah.
Okay.
You like the old ritual ceremonies, don't you? It's like another world, isn't it, Walter?
Oh, it's another world. It's another world.
Uh-huh.
There you go, guys.
Yeah, there you go. I can't believe you pulled Walter in there.
I didn't expect that, Walter. Thank you so much.
You bet.
We love you, brother.
Hey, brother, can I ask you something? Are you at home? Are you in Nebraska?
I'm in Houston, actually, Houston, Texas, visiting my sister and her family for Christmas. Yep, I'm here for a week.
Superb. Oh, well, that's great to see you. Thanks for jumping on, Walter. Delighted with that.
You guys take care. Hey, Vinny, keep it real, man. Everybody else, take care, and we'll talk later.
Speak to you soon.
We will.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much.
Cheers, Walter.
Thank you to Ashley Cowie and all the team. Thank you so much. We're going to jump over to Instagram right now if you're live, and we'll see you on the flip side. Take care. Peace. Happy Christmas.
Midala Clawan, as we say in Wales. Or Feliz Navidad, as they say here in Mexico.
Or just